Microsoft Teams finally on the M1 Macs? This is MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by RocketMoney. Take full control of your subscriptions with RocketMoney at rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. This week's MacVoices is supported by Kolide. Kolide is an endpoint solution that uses the most powerful untapped resource in IT, end users. Learn more at kolide.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this time around we talk Teams, Microsoft Teams, and running it natively on the M1 Macs, something that some have been waiting to do for almost 2 years. We also take a look at dedicated Teams machines and what they are and why they may or may not be a good idea, and also revisit the concept of a touchscreen Mac and whether it still is worth considering. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. Webb, you're awfully quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't want to step on anyone, just for what it's worth. And I'd mentioned that in my office and 500 employees and hundreds of computers in my office. We don't do any all-in-ones except for a couple iMacs here and there, and that's mainly my communications and graphic arts people that use that. But the main machine is going to be a Dell Tower type with a separate monitor, or it's going to be a laptop with a docking station of some kind. We never got into the all-in-one space for the cubicles, if you will, if I can use that phrase. And the other thing that I'd mentioned that in my office that I do have I remote into a Windows machine, and it's an HP. I don't know what the model is, but it's small. It's a little bit bigger than an Apple TV, and it's just fits for what I need and what I do. I just take it in there, throw it in the rack, turn it on, just leave it going. So in my world, we just never bought into the all-in-one for the workers. So
I just thought of something. I just kind of want to put a kind of a different spin on this. Devices, the Microsoft Teams meeting room devices, and you don't want me to bring up Teams, Chuck, but that's a big hot device right now. And basically what it is it is a full-out Windows device. It's about yay big here with a base and a small screen. You set that up in a conference room, and it's an immediate Teams. It turns a room with a webcam in a conference room into a Teams room. You just walk up to this device and you schedule it through your calendar. You tap it, and you're in a Teams meeting room. So you are seeing those types of devices as an all-in-one. Because that's the hot thing now with hybrid meetings. So I think that's where you're kind of looking as far as the trending towards an all-in-one type of device these days.
So, David, are you saying that this device also has the camera, or you have to have a separate webcam for it?
Separate camera. So you could buy a camera like a Logitech Rallycam Pro. That's about $1,300. It's expensive, but it's a kit that comes with the actual good size and good sound quality speakers that you can mount to the front of mount to the room on the TV, and then you mount the camera at the top. It's automatic. It's got a USB and it works by Ethernet, because it's got an Ethernet box that's mounted to behind the TV. Then you run the Ethernet cable to the module box that sits. You can mount that under the table, and then it's got just an HDMI and a USB cable, and then you plug those into the MTR, the Microsoft Teams Room device. And there's the popular ones are made by Lenovo. And I've set them up, and it's just they're just phenomenal devices, and they're computers. I mean, you actually could sign because when it boots up, it boots right into Teams, and that's all it is. It stays locked down and it's in Teams. But to manage it, you can sign into it using the administrator account, and then you just be able to manage it through then it's just basically you go into Windows, and because you have to make changes like setting the video settings and sound and all that stuff at the initial time. But it's maintenance free because you just reboot the device, and it just boots right into Teams. It's there. You don't have to think about it.
So once again, somebody's reading my notes. I'm throwing an article.
Sorry, I knew, and I knew. Remember, you had an article about Teams.
Yeah, so
and I just thought of it as we're talking about this all in one. Topic here. So,
David, it kind of takes this particular article in a different angle, because the article is about Teams now running natively on the M1 Macs. 2 years later, congratulations, Microsoft.
Yeah,
but I have to ask, does it make sense to buy a dedicated machine to run Teams when Teams runs on everything? I mean, what does this device bring to the table that I couldn't get, at least in theory, if I took an M1 laptop, now able to run Teams natively, and AirPlay?
The reason why you'd want to. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. The reason why you'd want to buy a device like this is the fact that web. If in your office is a good example, since you're sharing a fair amount of that stuff, and as I see Kat's tail go by here,
my office manager is here. She is judging all of us.
Yes, by talking about Teams. So you'd want that type of device because you want ease of use. Users want to be able to walk into a room, look at the screen. Oh, there's my meeting. Tap it. You're connected. Don't have to think about it. You don't have to bring your laptop to a meeting. The dedicated Microsoft Teams room device is going to do. Yeah,
it's a conference room device.
It's a conference room device. Yes, that's really what it is.
We several weeks ago or months ago, I guess, and you talked about you had to leave the show early to go do another one, Chuck, and you were going through WebEx was the platform that you were connecting to. Yeah. I contend a lot of it's muscle memory. We've been a WebEx company for quite some time, but it came with our Cisco telephone system, so it was kind of the freebie add-on. Now we're transitioning over to Teams, and personally, it's driving me nuts because I got so used on the muscle memory on how to use WebEx that now I got to try to figure out how to adjust the camera for Teams and how to change the background and set it up for my headset, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just trying to learn a new user interface for a different application has been really frustrating for me. I'm getting better.
Well, it seems like the web conference market it's all over the place right now. Since the pandemic, everybody's coming out with something to replace something else or to enhance it or to provide something new. I'm thinking GoToMeeting, WebEx, Teams, Zoom, the program. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not, but that gives extra enhancements to be able to do things within those programs. So there's so much of this. I would just personally be kind of nervous. I hear what you're saying, Webb, about ease of setup and all that, and having a dedicated machine. But I'd be hesitant to invest a lot of money in something like that I could do with just a little bit of training, or have a couple people trained, or a few sets of instructions that I might be able to duplicate, elsewhere, cheaper. And
I was just going to say, in my world, which is not representative, but in my world, you have the dedicated device that runs the team meeting itself. I'll bring my laptop, or actually I bring my iPad in, and that's what I use for my note taking, all that kind of stuff. So I could use my device to run the Teams meeting or the WebEx meeting or whatever, but then it takes away from the other things that I need to do as I participate in that environment. So it's it teach his own.
The thing is, this device can be incorporated with other platforms too. So you can get plugins and say, okay, I want to be able to also have the ability to connect to a Zoom meeting, because there's going to be some clients who want to connect to a Zoom meeting. I'm sorry if we're getting too much enterprise discussion here, but it's really interesting to see what these devices can do, these MTRs. And you can do WebEx if you, God forbid, but you could also do Zoom and any of the other platforms. There are plugins. I mean, it is a Windows machine for all intents and purposes. So you can do the dedicated services so you could have a combination of a Zoom and a Teams device sitting on in a conference room on a table, and be able to easily connect to a meeting without having very little of any interaction with a laptop, unless you can plug your laptop into this device. It's got a HDMI cable. So what's great about it is it basically just, you can walk up to it, just turn the TV on, you plug it in, it automatically connects and it shares your screen. So you have full options for both.
Screen sharing is a good point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. And when you connect to it, to the device, you share your screen in Teams. So all the folks that are attending outside of the conference room will see that screen.
Chuck,
once again,
I became a fan of appliance devices like this years ago, and it came from working at a company where the company owner was always looking for the shortcuts, and there was a specific printing device that the company really needed. And so a team of us, we did all the research, we found the right thing. And for those of you that are curious, it was a Xerox Logitech. And, this is basically like a copy printing machine that's the size of an F-150 pickup truck. And I mean, they're like crazy and really cool if you're into the printing industry. But the company owner decided that instead of going with that route, he would go this other route where this company was offering what I called the poor man's Logitech. And it was a PC that acted like a RIP, and it would crunch out all this data, and then parse it all out as a print job to a group of like 6 laser printers. And we told the boss, don't get this where you have to cobble it all together. Get the appliance that does what you really want. And he thought, well, look, I can do this for like a third of the price, a quarter of the price, and it'll work just as well. And it didn't. And it was a constant process, an ordeal to try and make every piece work and work when it needed to. And then the separate maintenance of trying to get this PC to do the things it was supposed to do, and then managing updates and everything for that. And then it was slower. And so when everything was said and done, by the time they finally gave up on that, they had spent so much more on this cheaper, we can build it ourselves system than had they gone with the appliance designed to do exactly what they want. And you didn't have to think about it. You just fed it the info and it would go to town and do its job. But on the other hand, I do get what you're saying. What if I can just build a thing that lets me do all the conferencing, train a couple people, and I'm saving money? Maybe you can. But
Jeff, I'm just sitting here playing with a couple things. David was kind enough to put a link in the chat room, and I just posted it to YouTube. That this device starts at $2,200, and if I go over to the Apple site, I can customize a Mac Studio with an M1 Max with 10 cores, and I've spent less than the starting price for this device.
And therefore, you are not the market for this appliance.
And of course, that's list price. If you're buying, you can get it for cheaper than that. That's directly on the Lenovo side, of course.
Oh, I'm sure, but it also is just starting at. So I don't know what you can do with this machine, but I mean, it's back and forth. Right. I do want to. I mean, the chat room has really been alive with this process. This discussion.
I've been not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good comments in here. Let's see. Brett says we're transitioning to Teams at work too. It seems like it's good enough, but nobody wants yet another piece of software after Outlook to interrupt them with messages from coworkers. And then he said later, in response to a comment from Guy Searle, who's in the chat room, and Guy, we want you back. Get on here.
He's sleepy.
Brett says they're threatening to take away our phone headsets at work and doing all of our calls on the computer. I don't know.
It's just like, do you need a phone anymore at your desk? I mean, I'd say these days, hardly anybody uses a desk phone. Everything is either a software-based phone on your computer, or you're using your mobile phone. I mean, it's just. Yeah.
I do not allow any of my people to use your mobile phone for business calls.
Okay.
While they're in the office. Okay, now.
Gotcha.
Okay. The sound quality is not as good. The connection problems. And when I'm dealing with customers and trying to satisfy, they're calling because they got a problem. They need me to solve it. I need to make sure communications is clear. But I hear what you're saying. A lot of people use what soft phones is what we call them.
Right.
And
Cisco has it with the Jabber, and then
if I'm
Cisco
sitting,
IPT.
I'm sitting here at my. This is a fake background. I'm sitting at my house, and I'll use Jabber to connect to the office and use this headset to do it. Just because it sounds a lot clearer than if I'm using the microphone off the computer and so on and so forth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you got to have I mean, obviously us being podcasters, we're using mics here and our equipment, but yeah, you got to have a good, even the Jabra little small speaker, those little small, the saucer speakers that they have, those are great sounding conference devices, but they do work really well. But no, I agree with you. I mean, having an IPT phone system is more economical than ever, just depending on how you do the business. And I mean, a lot of phone calls are going through Teams too, honestly. So
that's part of the conversation in the chat room right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full out phone these days. You make a phone call from if your company allows external phone calls through Teams, it works fairly well, and it's a good experience. Video, and you can have video calls or just audio calls.
Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by RocketMoney. Start canceling your unused subscriptions and save money at rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. Do you know why free trials renew without your consent? It's a business scam to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download RocketMoney to take control of your subscriptions. You have to check out RocketMoney. They help you manage and cancel subscriptions you didn't want, need, or simply forgot about with just a tap. Sound familiar? That's because you've heard me talk about my favorite app, Truebill, before. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Truebill is now backed by rocket companies and just changed their name to RocketMoney. Why? Well, for one, Truebill has grown from a bill management app into a full-on personal finance empowerment tool that helps over 3.4 million people with budgeting, lowering bills, canceling subscriptions, and more, saving each of their members, on average, $700 a year. Bottom line, RocketMoney is everything I've loved about Truebill, but with a fresh look and feel. Start canceling your unused subscriptions and save money at rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. That's rocketmoney.com/MacVoices. Thanks to RocketMoney for supporting this week's MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by Kolide. Kolide is an endpoint security solution that uses the most powerful untapped resource in IT, end users. Old-school device management tools like MDMs force disruptive agents onto employee devices that slow performance and treat privacy as an afterthought. Kolide does things differently. Instead of forcing changes on users, Kolide notifies your team via Slack when their devices are insecure and gives them step-by-step instructions on how to solve the problem. By reaching out to employees via a friendly Slack message and educating them about company policies, Kolide can help you build a culture in which everyone contributes to security, because everyone understands how and why to do it. That makes for a stronger security now and a stronger security future. You can meet your compliance goals by putting users first. Visit kolide.com/MacVoices to find out how. That's Kolide, KOLIDE.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Kolide for supporting this edition of MacVoices. Web guy in the chat room says that you need a better microphone, and I know just the guy that can sell you. and he
Oh,
won't
guy.
even miss it. He won't even miss it.
Could I have one of your microphones?
Hey, there was one comment David made that I wanted, and we're going to run short on time, but I can't let it go because it's an argument that raged for a while. It really burned bright, and then it just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody feel the need for a touchscreen Mac at this point?
No,
No,
I don't think so.
I mean, you almost have it now. If you use an iPad as a second screen, you've got the whole touch.
You can kind of simulate it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, if you take, we've used it for some conference calls where we're sharing technical information, and you have people connect with an iPad, and then when somebody's showing a document, you can quickly zoom in and make, for details. Or if someone can't read the text, then you don't have to make it big for everybody. They might also have a computer they're connecting with to kind of go back and forth for everything else. So you get the touchscreen aspect, the zoom in, zoom out.
Yeah.
I see no reason to add that to a screen. That just adds a bunch of expense that one or two people need, and there's a way around it.
I don't see a need for it.
I think it depends on how much it costs. I mean, if the cost is not that much, then why not?
I don't see Apple wanting to do it. They've avoided it all this time.
But that's a different question.
It's also
they seem to have a religious issue about that. I've seen people working with PCs with touch, and it was like, yeah, okay, like they just reach out and flick photos or zoom in and out. I mean, should that be the primary? No. I don't think you should do that instead of a pointing device. But at some point, we've got this, it has to be one or the other mentality, which seems to have come from Apple. Remember back in the 1980s when people were like, mouse, I use a computer without a mouse. Those mice are terrible. They slow you down and
Well, they're not wrong.
Yeah, they are wrong. And, keyboards
I like my mouse.
didn't go away. Notice the keyboards did not go away. We still have keyboards, and I still have arrow keys on my keyboard, and I use them a lot. And I even have a Stream Deck now too. So, I want all the things. Why would I want less things?
The one thing though, Jim, if that's going to decrease the number of monitors that are going to function with something like a Mac Mini, unless you're going to adopt a standard of some kind that can, because now you have a whole different set of engineering problems in those monitors, and that's going to push the prices up.
If you're asking me, should Mac OS require touch? I don't think so, but Windows doesn't. Those monitors all work with Windows and Linux, right? If I get a laptop, Windows laptop that has touch, I don't think I can plug in most monitors into it and still get touch on the monitor.
Right.
Right. So
we're back to a discussion of the all-in-one device that
a laptop.
Well, a laptop.
Laptop's an all-in-one device.
Yeah. That's true too. Hey, we're going to start. We're definitely running out of time, but I had to throw that in because it just seemed like Apple was doomed if they didn't build a touchscreen iMac. And as you can see, Apple's not doomed by any means. So,
Apple is not doomed, full stop.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we can have reasonable discussions about other things, but don't involve doom in it.
Guys, this has been a lot of fun. And Eric and Webb, I love the fact that you joined us. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. This was a blast. We are definitely going to do this again.
Enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So you know what? I'm going to let you two gentlemen do it first. And I think I'll reverse the order. So Webb, thank you for being here. Where can folks get in touch with you? What are you on social media? I know you said you don't. Webb
Bixby at Twitter and also on Facebook is kind of the the big ways. But like I said, I'm not a big poster on it, so but I do look at it every once in a while. It's a good way to keep track of my grandkids, if you want to know the truth. So that's why I'm on Facebook especially. So but yeah, Chuck, thank you. I really enjoyed it very much.
Good. Pardon me, we will definitely do it again. Eric, how about you? What's the best place or best way for folks to contact you if they have questions or comments?
I spent most of my time hiding, but at EA Bolden on Twitter or eabolden@mac.com. And those are the two spots where I actually respond to things.
So if you send him a message on Teams, forget it. He won't answer. David Ginsburg, thank you so much for being here. Where can folks find you?
You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com, on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays with Chuck and Jeff, and I'm also on Twitter at DaveG65. Yeah, this is a great show. Thanks, guys, for being here. Thank you.
Jeff Gamet, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't show up with the scarf tonight, but maybe next week.
Well, yeah, you're right. You should be disappointed. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The scarf next week. Tune in, folks, to see it.
But Chuck, you do understand what goes along with the scarf, what the rest of the package deal for the scarf was. You do remember, right?
Enlighten us, just so you can terrify us all.
So the rest of what comes after Jeff wearing a scarf is and nothing else.
As long as you keep the camera up, it won't be a problem.
Well, I'm going to stand up right now.
No. If the camera falls off its mount, we're an X-rated show. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Well, you're just broadening out to a different demographic.
Mm. On that note, where can folks find you and suggest what color scarf you get?
They can find me on your OnlyFans page. No, they can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I am Jay Gamet on both. YouTube.com/JGamet for the occasional video. Surprisingly, still on Tuesday evenings here with you. Thursday evenings with Dave on In Touch with iOS. And then I'm still surprisingly the interim host after 2 years, maybe longer, on the Big Show on Thursdays, the Mac Show on Fridays. And Brian Chaffin and I are doing The Context Machine. And then I show up other places too. So you never know where I might pop up.
Great. Thank you so much. Good to have you. Last but absolutely not least, Mr. Jim Ray, who this week is not sporting his Indiana Jones hat. So, we take him as he comes.
Mac stock.
This is Mac stock dedication.
My semi-transparent Mac stock.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike.
What's the best way to find you, Jim?
Just call 1-800. Do not call me. No. Provue.com, PROVUE.com. There's like a whole website. And also on the Not Elon website, you can reach me at ProVueJim. That's Twitter. For
Great.
Historical, people watching this in 10 years going, what?
What are they talking about? Thank you, Jim. Thanks for being here. And making a very late appearance just as we are ready to sign off. Webb, I think Guy is making a special delivery to you of a microphone.
Yeah.
Guy, are you there?
It's going to take him this long just to get his camera up on his mic working.
The awesome thing is he probably doesn't realize that he logged in. Jelly, the cat, probably walked across his desk and
yeah, there he is.
There he is.
Maybe he really did know.
It's the drugs, right? It's the drugs.
It never bothered me in the 70s.
Thanks for sharing.
All right.
It's not the 70s.
Yeah.
Are you
Just in
sure?
time for after dark.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Never
folks,
sure
if you want to hear more from Guy, you'll have to become a Mac Voices patron and hear him on After Dark, because I'm going to get us out of here on time, or more or less on time.
Good.
This is Mac Voices Live. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We'd love to have you join us in the chat room at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. You can tell we have a lot of fun here. The chat room has been super busy tonight, and I definitely want to thank them for all their comments. Definitely have added to the show and brought up some really interesting points. So with that, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. Talk to you soon. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.